She's one of the most dominant women in WWE today, but even Rhea Ripley isn't invincible when real life crosses a line. In fact, the story she recently shared about a terrifying fan encounter at her own home is not just disturbing, it's a major red flag for the entire industry. This wasn't just someone asking for an autograph or hoping to catch a glimpse of their favorite star. This was something straight out of a horror movie, and it left Ripley shaken and calling for real change. Rhea Ripley shared the chilling details during an interview with Chris Van Vliet on Insight, and it's something every fan and executive needs to hear. The short version? A woman showed up at Rhea Ripley's private residence multiple times. She somehow got through the gated community. She rang the doorbell, stood there for long periods of time, and even returned wearing different clothes, almost like she was trying to hide the fact that it was the same person. And all of this was captured on Ripley's Ring camera. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, consider the emotional toll it had on someone who steps into the ring against the toughest opponents in the world and never flinches. Ripley described the woman as having a haunting smile, comparing her to something right out of the horror movie Smile. She admitted she was sorry if the woman ever saw the interview, but still called the behavior absolutely terrifying, and honestly, how could she not? This wasn't a friendly visit or a fan waiting outside an arena. This was someone showing up at her home, uninvited and undeterred. What's worse is that this isn't an isolated incident. Ripley's story is just the latest in a growing pattern of disturbing encounters between WWE talent and overly obsessed fans. Liv Morgan, Sonya Deville, and even legends like John Cena and The Undertaker have dealt with fans crossing the line, sometimes in horrifying fashion. Sonya Deville's incident involved a man breaking into her house with the intent to kidnap her. He had a knife, he had zip ties, and he had been planning it for months. Liv Morgan had someone camp out on her property, refusing to leave. These are not small infractions. These are the kinds of events that can lead to something far worse if not taken seriously. Ripley used her platform not just to share her fear, but to send a message to the fans: respect boundaries. She made it clear that while she loves wrestling and appreciates the support, at the end of the day, it's her job, not her identity 24/7. When she goes home, she's just a normal person trying to relax, live, and feel safe. And yet, she's dealing with people showing up at her doorstep as if it's acceptable to violate her privacy just because she's on TV. The reality is, the line between performer and person is being blurred way too often in today's fan culture. The internet has given fans a level of access to their favorite stars that simply didn't exist a couple of decades ago. But with that access comes a dangerous sense of entitlement. Some people now believe that because they watch you on screen, they own a piece of you, that they're owed something, that they can cross into your real life because they support you, and that's where everything starts to fall apart. What makes this situation even more frustrating is the lack of serious institutional support for these performers. WWE treats its wrestlers as independent contractors. That means they're technically responsible for their own travel, accommodations, and yes, security. WWE might book a flight, maybe a hotel, for their top-tier stars, but when it comes to personal safety, that's on the talent, and that's a massive problem. We're no longer living in the days when WWE had its stars traveling 300 days a year. The schedule has changed, house shows have been drastically reduced, and wrestlers are now on the road for maybe 2 to 3 days at a time depending on their brand. This gives them more home time, which is great in theory unless their home is no longer a place of safety. And with social media and modern technology, it's become easier than ever for a fan to track down a wrestler's private life. So the question becomes, what is WWE going to do about it? Other major leagues, whether it's the NFL, NBA, or NHL, offer serious security options for their players. Team buses, organized travel, tight protection from hotel to venue and back. These are standard practices, but for WWE, an entertainment company that generates billions, the same level of protection isn't even considered unless you're one of the top names. That has to change. It shouldn't be controversial to say that if your job puts you in danger, your employer has a responsibility to help keep you safe, especially when the danger involves obsessive fans who can't separate character from real life. We've seen this issue snowball for years. It's not just a few bad apples, it's a recurring and growing threat. Sonya Deville now carries personal defense gear. Liv Morgan had a man waiting outside her house for hours. Rhea Ripley had a stranger smiling into her camera like a horror movie villain. These women shouldn't have to deal with that alone. They shouldn't have to fund their own security. They shouldn't have to be afraid in their own homes because some fans don't understand where the character ends and the person begins. And the sad reality is that this situation will likely continue until something truly tragic happens. That's not being dramatic, that's just looking at the pattern. These incidents are becoming more frequent, not less. And every time a talent shares their story, it becomes more clear that the current system isn't working. TKO, the parent company of WWE, has a responsibility here. This isn't just about protecting talent, it's about protecting your investment. Rhea Ripley isn't just another face on the roster, she's one of WWE's top stars, a proven draw, and someone the company relies on to carry major storylines. If she doesn't feel safe, if she's distracted or shaken, that affects her performance, that affects business. And it doesn't have to be this way. A security protocol could be implemented without upending the entire system. Wrestlers can be grouped together by region, flown out on the same charter, transported by trusted services, kept in vetted hotels, and offered optional home security support. This wouldn't be some massive overhaul, it would simply be applying existing safety standards from other industries to wrestling. There's also the PR angle. If WWE were to implement new safety standards, it sends a powerful message to both fans and talent. It says we care, it says we're listening, and it shows the public that WWE isn't just about profit, but also about protecting the human beings behind the personas. That kind of goodwill can go a long way, especially at a time when fan behavior is increasingly under the spotlight. The problem isn't just one crazy fan, it's a culture of blurred boundaries, fueled by 24/7 access and the illusion of intimacy social media creates. When someone sees you in their feed every day, when you post videos from your living room or workouts from your home gym, they begin to feel like they know you. And while most fans understand the limits, some don't. Some take that familiarity and twist it into obsession. That's where danger lies. This is not a storyline. This is not a heel versus face situation. This is real life. And the people who entertain us week in and week out shouldn't have to look over their shoulders when they go home at night. Rhea Ripley's story is a warning. And the time to act is now, before someone else shares a story we all wish we hadn't heard. For WWE, this is an opportunity to show leadership, to be proactive, to care about the people behind the characters, because if they wait too long, if they continue to brush these incidents aside as isolated or unfortunate side effects of fame, they'll eventually face a far more serious crisis, one that could have been prevented. The line has been crossed too many times. The solution isn't complicated. What's missing is the will to act, and that needs to change, because at the end of the day, no one should be terrified in their own home, not even a powerhouse like Rhea Ripley. On a recent episode of his Keepin' It 100 podcast, former WCW star Konnan gave his thoughts on the June 25, 2025, edition of AEW Dynamite, particularly the opening brawl between Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm. The intense segment was designed to build hype for their upcoming clash at All In, and Konnan was impressed by the fresh energy it brought to the show. It was different, Konnan said. I don't think two women have started a brawl on AEW before. While he praised the overall presentation, he did express concerns about one aspect, Storm's valet, Luther. His co-host Disco Inferno chimed in, saying he would have preferred Moné kick Luther at the start of the segment rather than just shove him. That opened the door for Konnan to share his long-standing criticism of Luther's role in Storm's act. I don't think Luther adds anything, Konnan remarked. Anytime I see him, I just laugh. He doesn't talk for her, and she doesn't need a mouthpiece. He doesn't interfere in her matches. He just stands there in white gloves making faces. Konnan compared Luther to Alex Abrahantes, calling them both part of the Mickey Mouse Clubs for their comedic, seemingly purposeless roles on AEW television. Disco joked that Luther's main task is just taking his outfit to the dry cleaners every week. Despite the criticism, Konnan did acknowledge that Luther is likely content with his spot, considering his past struggles in the wrestling business. Luther, who joined AEW in 2019 after years away from major promotions, has been part of Storm's gimmick since 2023 when he took on the role of her silent butler and valet. While the Moné Storm feud continues to gain steam, it's clear not everyone is sold on every element surrounding it.